night sky over Earth was unusually clear. Stars twinkled like tiny diamonds scattered across a velvet canvas, and the moon hung low, casting its silvery glow on the quiet towns below. People went about their lives as they always did, working, late shifts, watching TV shows, or gazing out of windows at the peaceful heavens above. No one suspected that this calm would soon shatter into chaos. In a small observatory nestled in the mountains of Chile, Dr. Emily Carter sat hunched over her telescope. She had spent years studying anomalies in space, but tonight felt different. Her computer screen flickered with data streaming from satellites orbiting Earth. Suddenly, something caught her eye, a faint ripple in the upper atmosphere, almost invisible to even the most advanced equipment. It wasn't natural. It didn't behave like any meteor shower or solar flare she'd ever seen before. Emily leaned closer, adjusting the settings on her monitor. "What is this?" she whispered to herself, her heart racing. As she zoomed in, on the anomaly, the readings became stranger still. There were patterns, mathematical sequences embedded within the disturbance. Patterns so precise they could only mean one thing: intelligence. Someone, or something, was tampering with Earth's skies. Across the globe, similar reports began pouring in. Astronomers in Japan noticed strange fluctuations in starlight. Radio telescopes in Australia picked up bursts of energy unlike anything recorded before. Even amateur stargazers posted videos online of the sky shimmering unnaturally, as though reality itself were bending. Social media buzzed with speculation. Some joked about aliens finally arriving, while others dismissed it all as glitches in technology. But deep down, everyone felt a pang of unease. Back at the observatory, Emily called NASA's headquarters in Houston. After several tense minutes waiting for someone to answer, she connected with Dr. Samuel Hayes, an astrophysicist known for his work on extraterrestrial life theories. When Emily explained what she'd found, Hayes listened intently, his voice steady despite the growing tension in the conversation. "This isn't just interference," he said after a pause. "If your calculations are correct, whatever's causing this, it's massive. We're talking planetary-scale objects." Emily swallowed hard. "Do you think we should alert the public?" Hayes hesitated. "Not yet. If we cause panic without solid evidence, it'll do more harm than good. Let me run simulations based on your data. Meanwhile, keep monitoring the situation." As dawn approached, the ripples intensified. By sunrise, people around the world woke up to an eerie sight. Clouds seemed to part unnaturally, revealing patches of empty sky where stars should have been visible. Birds stopped chirping, animals grew restless, and even humans reported feeling a strange pressure in the air, as if the planet itself were holding its breath. At Cape Canaveral, Florida, engineers scrambled to launch reconnaissance drones into the upper atmosphere. These high-altitude vehicles were equipped with cameras capable of capturing images beyond human vision. Within hours, the first batch of footage returned, and it left scientists speechless. Hovering miles above Earth's surface were structures unlike anything humanity had ever imagined. Gigantic vessels, each larger than entire cities, floated silently against the backdrop of space. Their surfaces gleamed with an otherworldly light, shifting colors like liquid metal. They weren't attacking or communicating, they simply loomed there, watching. News outlets broke the story simultaneously, unable to contain the information any longer. Panic spread like wildfire. Governments convened emergency meetings, military forces went on high alert, and civilians flooded streets pointing upward in awe and fear. Conspiracy theories exploded online, ranging from divine intervention to apocalyptic prophecies. Yet no one, not even the brightest minds, could explain why these alien ships hadn't made contact. Meanwhile, aboard the International Space Station, ISS, astronauts watched the unfolding drama from their perch in orbit. Commander Alexei Volkov stared through the station's window, his face pale. He radioed mission control in Moscow, describing what he saw. "They're not moving, just hovering. Like they're waiting for something. Waiting for what?" That question haunted everyone. Was this the beginning of an invasion? Or was there another reason these colossal ships had appeared? As the day wore on, Emily continued analyzing the data non-stop. Her hands trembled as she typed commands into her computer, searching for clues. Then, just as fatigue threatened to overwhelm her, she spotted something extraordinary. Hidden within the mathematical patterns of the disturbance was a message, a code written in binary language. With trembling fingers, she decoded it. When the translation appeared on her screen, Emily gasped. It read, "We come not to conquer, but to witness." Her mind raced. Witness what? What could possibly be happening on Earth that warranted such grandeur? She shared her findings with Hayes, who immediately assembled a team of linguists and cryptographers to decipher further meaning. But time was running out. Whatever the aliens intended, it seemed clear they weren't here by accident. By evening, the skies darkened again, but this time, the change was deliberate. The clouds parted completely, revealing not just the alien ships but also countless smaller vessels descending toward Earth. They moved gracefully, positioning themselves over major cities worldwide. Lights pulsed along their hulls, synchronized, like a heartbeat. People gathered in parks, rooftops, and plazas, staring upward in stunned silence. For the first time in history, humanity stood united, not by choice but by necessity. Fear mingled with wonder as the realization sunk in. Earth was no longer alone. And then, just when it seemed the tension couldn't grow any thicker, the largest ship, the one hovering directly above the equator, began to transform. Its surface shimmered, and sections peeled away like petals blooming in reverse. From within emerged something unimaginable, a fleet of star destroyers, sleek and menacing, their weapons glinting ominously under the fading sunlight. But instead of aiming at Earth, the destroyers turned outward, facing the void of space. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd as everyone realized the aliens weren't preparing to attack humanity. They were preparing to defend it. From somewhere far beyond the edge of the solar system, a new threat approached, something ancient, powerful, and utterly alien. And as the star destroyers powered up their engines, ready to engage, one truth became undeniable. Earth had unknowingly become the battleground for a war older than the stars themselves. As the star destroyers emerged from the largest alien vessel, humanity collectively held its breath. The sight was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Massive warships bristling with weapons that glowed ominously, their sheer size dwarfing anything humans had ever built. But what truly baffled everyone was their positioning. Instead of turning their firepower toward Earth, the destroyers formed a defensive line, facing outward into the vast emptiness of space. People around the world watched, live broadcasts, their eyes glued to screens as news anchors struggled to make sense of the unfolding events. Social media erupted with theories and questions. Why were these aliens defending Earth? What, or who, were they protecting humanity from? And most importantly, why now? At the United Nations headquarters in New York City, world leaders convened for an emergency meeting. The atmosphere was tense, with representatives whispering among themselves, unsure how to respond. Some called for immediate military mobilization, fearing the worst. Others argued for patience, urging calm until more information became available. In the end, they agreed on one thing: Earth needed answers. Dr. Emily Carter found herself thrust into the spotlight. Her discovery of the coded message, "We come not to conquer but to witness," had gone viral, making her the face of humanity's first contact with extraterrestrial life. Military escorts arrived at her observatory in Chile, whisking her away to a secure facility where scientists and government officials worked around the clock to decode further messages hidden within the alien signals. Back at NASA, Dr. Samuel Hayes coordinated efforts with international space agencies. Together, they launched satellites equipped with advanced sensors designed to detect any incoming threats. Meanwhile, astronauts aboard the International Space Station, ISS, kept watch over the alien fleet, relaying real-time updates to mission control. Commander Alexei Volkov remained stationed near the window, his gaze fixed on the star destroyers. "It feels like we're standing on the edge of a cliff," he muttered into his headset during a call with Houston. We can see the storm coming, but we don't know when it'll hit. His words resonated deeply. Around the globe, people prepared for the unknown. Grocery stores emptied as panic buying swept through cities. Families huddled together, praying for safety. Religious leaders called for unity, reminding their followers that this moment transcended borders, languages, and beliefs. For the first time in history, humanity faced a shared destiny. But amidst the fear and uncertainty, there was also curiosity. Amateur astronomers pointed telescopes skyward, capturing images of the alien ships and uploading them online. Schools canceled classes so students could witness the event firsthand. Even skeptics who once dismissed UFO sightings as hoaxes admitted they couldn't explain what was happening. In remote villages without access to modern technology, elders gathered under starlit skies, sharing stories passed down through generations about celestial beings visiting Earth. To them, this wasn't just science fiction, it was prophecy fulfilled. Meanwhile, back at the secure facility, Emily worked tirelessly alongside linguists and cryptographers. They pored over the binary code embedded in the alien transmission, searching for additional clues. Slowly but surely, fragments of meaning began to emerge. One phrase stood out. "The reckoning approaches." "What does that mean?" asked General Marcus Reed, head of the U.S. Space Command who had been assigned to oversee the operation. His gruff demeanor softened slightly as he leaned over Emily's shoulder, studying the translated text. "It could refer to whatever threat is coming," Emily replied, rubbing her temples. "Or maybe it's a warning. A reckoning isn't always bad. It can also mean justice or balance." General Reed frowned. "Justice for whom?" Before Emily could answer, alarms blared throughout the facility. Technicians rushed to their monitors, frantically analyzing new data streaming in from orbiting satellites. On the main screen, a massive object appeared on the edge of the solar system, moving at an impossible speed. It was shaped like a jagged shard of obsidian, its surface pulsating with dark energy that seemed to warp the fabric of space itself. This shouldn't be possible," stammered one of the scientists, his voice trembling. "Its trajectory defies physics. It's accelerating faster than light." The room fell silent as everyone processed the implications. Whatever this thing was, it wasn't natural. It radiated hostility, its presence sending shivers down spines even millions of miles away. Emily felt goosebumps rise on her arms. She had studied anomalies all her life, but nothing compared to this. Turning to General Reed, she said, "If those star destroyers are here to protect us, then this must be the enemy." News of the approaching object spread quickly. Governments scrambled to issue statements, urging citizens to stay indoors and avoid panic. Military forces mobilized, though no one knew how conventional weapons could possibly harm something so otherworldly. Religious leaders declared the event an apocalyptic sign, while conspiracy theorists claimed it was the result of secret experiments gone wrong. Despite the chaos, some individuals chose to act rather than cower. In Tokyo, a young engineer named Hiroshi Takahashi hacked into abandoned satellite systems, attempting to establish communication with the alien fleet. He believed that if humanity wanted to survive, they needed allies, not spectators. "I'm not giving up," Hiroshi told his sister, who begged him to stop risking his life. "If they came to witness, maybe they'll listen." Thousands of miles away, in a small town in Texas, retired Air Force pilot Jack Monroe sat on his porch, staring at the sky. At 72 years old, he'd seen enough battles to last a lifetime. But this fight was different. This wasn't about nations or ideologies. It was about survival. Grabbing his cane, he limped inside and turned on the radio, listening intently. 2 updates. Hours passed as the black shard drew closer, its ominous glow growing brighter. The alien star destroyers shifted positions, forming a tighter formation. Weapons charged, emitting low-frequency hums that resonated across continents. Animals grew agitated, sensing the impending clash. Birds took flight en masse, disappearing into the horizon. Then suddenly the shard stopped. Hovering just beyond the orbit of Mars, it emitted a pulse of energy so powerful it disrupted communications worldwide. Screens flickered, phones went dead, and power grids faltered. Darkness descended upon parts of the planet, plunging cities into chaos. Inside the secure facility, backup generators kicked in, casting dim red lights over the anxious faces of scientists and soldiers. Emily gripped the edge of her desk, trying to steady herself. "This is it," she whispered. "Whatever happens next will change everything." On the ISS, Commander Volkov watched as the alien fleet unleashed their first volley of attacks. Beams of light streaked across space, colliding with the shard in a dazzling display of cosmic fireworks. The impact sent shockwaves rippling through the void, shaking the station violently. Volkov clung to his seat, shouting updates into his headset. "They're firing," he yelled. "Repeat, they're engaging the target." Back on Earth, people gathered outside, craning their necks to catch glimpses of the battle above. Through telescopes and binoculars, they saw flashes of light erupting in the distance, each burst illuminating the night sky like lightning. Cheers erupted in some places, followed by gasps as the shard retaliated. A counterattack surged forward, striking one of the star destroyers. The ship shuddered, its hull cracking under the force of the blow. Pieces of debris floated away, consumed by flames. Humanity's hope wavered as another destroyer fell victim to the relentless assault. Despair threatened to overwhelm Earth's defenders. Yet, amidst the destruction, a new signal emerged. Stronger and clearer than before, it flooded every device capable of receiving transmissions. Unlike the previous binary code, this message was broadcast in plain language, a universal dialect understood by all. "Earth stands at a crossroads." The voice echoed, deep and resonant. "Your fate depends on unity. Trust in yourselves, and trust in us." Tears streamed down Emily's face as she listened to the words. It wasn't just a message, it was a plea, a call to action. Humanity had always been divided by greed, hatred, and fear. But now, faced with extinction, they had no choice but to come together. Across the globe, people responded. Strangers helped strangers. Leaders put aside differences. Soldiers laid down arms, realizing that cooperation, not conflict, would save them. Even the Black Shard seemed to hesitate, its movements slowing as if sensing the shift in humanity's collective spirit. And then, the Star Destroyers launched their final gambit. Drawing upon reserves of energy no human scientist could comprehend, they encircled the shard in a luminous net of light. With a deafening roar, the net contracted, crushing the enemy within. For a brief moment, the entire solar system lit up as if bathed in sunlight. When the light faded, the shard was gone. Silence reigned, broken only by the sound of relieved sobs and cheers echoing across the planet. Humanity had survived, but at what cost? As dawn broke over Earth, revealing skies free of invaders, questions lingered. Who were these aliens? Why had they chosen to intervene? And what did their message truly mean? For now, however, there was peace. People hugged loved ones, grateful to still be alive. Flags waved in unison, symbolizing a newfound sense of global solidarity. And high above, the Rima. The battle in the skies above Earth had ended, but its echoes reverberated across the planet. Humanity stood on shaky legs, like a child learning to walk for the first time after a near-fatal fall. The alien star destroyers remained suspended, in orbit, their presence both comforting and unnerving. They hadn't left yet, and no one knew why. In the days that followed, life began to return to some semblance of normalcy, but it was a fragile peace. Streets were quieter than usual as people processed what they'd witnessed. Families gathered around dinner tables discussing theories about the aliens and the Black Shard. Schools reopened, though lessons often veered toward astronomy and existential questions rather than math or history. Even governments struggled to find footing, convening endless meetings to decide how to address the lingering mystery. Dr. Emily Carter found herself at the center of this new world order. She had become an international figure overnight, her name synonymous with humanity's first contact with extraterrestrial beings. Reporters camped outside her lab, desperate for updates. Politicians sought her advice, hoping she could decipher more from the cryptic messages embedded in the alien transmissions. But despite the attention, Emily felt burdened by responsibility. She wasn't just a scientist anymore. She was humanity's liaison to forces beyond comprehension. At a secure facility in Geneva, Switzerland, world leaders convened under the banner of the United Nations. For the first time in decades, countries set aside rivalries to focus on a shared goal: understanding the visitors in their skies. Dr. Samuel Hayes joined Emily there, bringing data collected from satellites and space stations. Together, they presented their findings to a room filled with diplomats, military officials, and scientists. "We've analyzed every byte of information we've received," Hayes explained, standing before a large screen displaying images of the star destroyers. "Their message, 'Earth stands at a crossroads,' is clear. They're not here to conquer us, nor are they passive observers. They acted decisively when the Black Shard attacked." "But why?" asked Ambassador Li Wei of China, leaning forward in his chair. "Why would they risk themselves for us?" Emily hesitated before answering. "From what we can gather, the aliens see Earth as unique. Our planet is rich in biodiversity, creativity, and resilience. That might be why they chose to intervene. But there's also another possibility. They may have faced the Black Shard before and view it as a universal threat." The room fell silent as everyone absorbed her words. If the aliens viewed Earth as special, it meant humanity carried untapped potential. Yet if the Shard posed a danger to the entire cosmos, then Earth's survival mattered far beyond its borders. As discussions continued, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Some nations wanted to send spacecraft to investigate the alien fleet up close, while others argued against provoking them further. Military leaders pressed for contingency plans in case the visitors turned hostile. Meanwhile, religious groups interpreted the event as divine intervention, urging humanity to repent and embrace spiritual renewal. Amidst the chaos, ordinary people searched for meaning in their own ways. In Mumbai, India, a street artist painted murals depicting the star destroyers alongside symbols of peace and unity. His work went viral, inspiring similar acts worldwide. In Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, musicians composed songs celebrating humanity's brush with annihilation, blending traditional rhythms with futuristic beats. These small acts of creation reminded everyone that even in darkness, beauty could emerge. But not everyone responded positively. Conspiracy theories flourished online, claiming the entire event was staged by governments or tech companies to control populations. Others accused the aliens of secretly manipulating Earth's resources during the battle. While these claims lacked evidence, they fueled fear and distrust, threatening the fragile unity forged during the crisis. Back at the secure facility, Emily worked tirelessly with her team, poring over the latest data. Something nagged at her, a detail she couldn't quite place. Then late one night it hit her. The binary code hidden within the alien transmission wasn't just a message, it was a map. A map of coordinates pointing to a location deep within Earth's solar system. She rushed to share her discovery with Hayes, who immediately called an emergency meeting. When the assembled leaders heard the news, reactions varied. Some dismissed it as irrelevant, arguing that focusing on earthly matters should take priority. Others saw it as a chance to uncover answers, and perhaps establish communication with the aliens directly. General Marcus Reed voiced his concerns. "If we send a probe, or worse, humans to investigate, we're gambling with lives. What if this is a trap? What if the aliens don't want us poking around?" "Or what if they do?" countered Emily. "They've already saved us once. Maybe they're waiting for us to take the next step." After hours of debate, the decision was made. A robotic probe, equipped with advanced sensors and cameras, would be launched toward the coordinates. The mission would serve two purposes: gather intelligence and signal humanity's willingness to engage. Construction of the probe began immediately, with engineers working around the clock. Meanwhile, amateur astronomer Hiroshi Takahashi in Tokyo continued his efforts to communicate with the alien fleet. Using hacked satellite systems, he transmitted mathematical sequences and musical notes, hoping to convey goodwill. To his astonishment, he received a response not in binary, but in faint pulses of light from one of the star destroyers. "It's acknowledging me," Hiroshi whispered to himself, tears streaming down his face. He recorded the interaction and uploaded it online where millions watched in awe. For the first time, humanity had proof that the aliens were listening. As preparations for the probe's launch neared completion, strange occurrences began unfolding on Earth. Animals migrated en masse, moving toward specific regions as if drawn by an invisible force. Plants grew faster than usual, blooming in vibrant colors never seen before. Geologists reported unusual seismic activity along fault lines, accompanied by low-frequency vibrations that resonated through the ground. Jack Monroe, the retired Air Force pilot in Texas, noticed something peculiar too. Every morning, he'd wake up to find strange patterns etched into the soil near his home. At first he thought it was vandalism, but closer inspection revealed intricate designs resembling constellations. Similar reports emerged from other parts of the world, leading some to believe the aliens were leaving signs, for reasons unknown. Then came the dreams. Across continents, people reported vivid visions of starry skies, glowing ships, and shadowy figures speaking in languages they couldn't understand. Scientists dismissed these accounts as stress-induced hallucinations, but those who experienced them swore they were real. One woman claimed she woke up knowing how to solve complex equations she'd never studied. Another man drew blueprints for machinery he'd never seen, only to discover later that the designs matched ancient texts describing flying chariots. Emily became increasingly intrigued by these phenomena. Could the aliens be influencing human consciousness? Were they trying to prepare humanity for something greater? She brought her theories to Hayes, who agreed to expand their research scope. Teams of neurologists, psychologists, and physicists collaborated to study the anomalies, seeking connections between the alien presence and Earth's newfound energy. Meanwhile, the probe launched successfully, hurtling through space toward the mysterious coordinates. As it traveled, it relayed breathtaking images back to Earth, swirling nebulae, asteroid fields, and distant planets bathed in starlight. But when it reached its destination, everyone froze. Floating in the void was a massive structure unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. Shaped like a ring, it spanned miles in diameter, its surface shimmering with iridescent hues. Within the ring, a portal pulsed with radiant energy, casting beams of light that seemed to stretch infinitely inward. This isn't natural," stammered one of the scientists monitoring the feed. "It's a gateway. But to where?" Before anyone could respond, the probe detected movement inside the portal. Shapes emerged, dozens of them, humanoid yet alien, their forms shifting like liquid metal. They glided gracefully, radiating an aura of calm authority. Then one stepped forward, raising a hand in greeting. On Earth, the image broadcast live on every screen, sparking gasps and cheers. It was undeniable now. The aliens weren't just visitors, they were ambassadors, and they had come bearing gifts. But as the figure extended its hand, a voice echoed in minds across the globe, transcending language barriers. "You are ready." Ready for what? The question hung heavy in the air, unanswered. Yet, as billions gazed upon the glowing figures, a collective realization dawned. Humanity wasn't alone in the universe, and perhaps it never had been. The image of the alien ambassador standing within the glowing ring froze humanity in its tracks. Screens flickered with static as the broadcast continued, but the message was clear. Earth had been chosen for something monumental. The words, "You are ready," lingered in minds like an unspoken promise, sparking a mixture of awe, fear, and anticipation. Scientists scrambled to analyze the transmission, searching for any hidden meanings or additional signals. Meanwhile, governments convened emergency sessions debating whether to respond directly to the aliens. Some argued that silence was the safest option. Others insisted humanity needed to seize this opportunity to communicate. In the end, a consensus emerged. Earth would send a delegation into space, a small team of astronauts, scientists, and diplomats, to meet the ambassadors face to face. Dr. Emily Carter was among those selected for the mission. Her role in decoding the initial alien messages made her indispensable, though she felt overwhelmed by the responsibility. Alongside her were Commander Alexei Volkov, whose experience aboard the ISS proved invaluable, and Hiroshi Takahashi, whose successful attempts at communication earned him a spot on the team. Rounding out the group were General Marcus Reed, representing Earth's military interests, and Ambassador Li Wei, tasked with diplomatic negotiations. As preparations intensified, the spacecraft, christened Unity, was constructed using advanced technology shared indirectly by the aliens through the probe's data feed. Engineers marveled at the designs, which included propulsion systems far beyond anything humanity had developed. It became evident that the aliens weren't just observing, they were guiding. While the crew trained rigorously, strange events continued unfolding on Earth. The glowing patterns etched into soil grew more intricate, forming symbols resembling ancient scripts from civilizations long gone. Animals migrated toward specific locations, clustering near sites where ley lines, geological energy pathways, intersected. Plants bloomed in unnatural colors, their petals shimmering under sunlight. Even the weather shifted unpredictably, with auroras appearing in regions where they shouldn't exist. People began referring to these phenomena as the awakening. Religious leaders claimed it was a sign of divine intervention, while skeptics dismissed it as mass hysteria fueled by recent events. Yet no one could deny the growing sense that Earth itself was transforming, as if preparing for something greater. Jack Monroe, the retired Air Force pilot in Texas, found himself drawn to one such site. Every night, he drove to a nearby canyon, where crops bent unnaturally, forming perfect spirals visible only from above. He brought his telescope, hoping to spot answers in the stars. One evening, as he adjusted the lens, he noticed something extraordinary. Faint beams of light descending from the sky, converging at the center of the spiral. They pulsed rhythmically, syncing with the vibrations he'd felt earlier in the ground. "This isn't random," Jack muttered, snapping photos. "Something's happening here." He uploaded the images online, igniting frenzy among researchers and conspiracy theorists alike. Teams flocked to similar sites worldwide, discovering identical patterns. Slowly, a global map emerged, connecting these locations into what appeared to be a massive circuit spanning continents. Back at Mission Control, Emily pieced together the significance of these findings. Consulting geological surveys and historical records, she realized the sites aligned perfectly with ancient myths about celestial gates, portals said to connect Earth to other realms. Could the aliens have activated them? And if so, why? Her theory gained traction when the alien ambassadors transmitted another message via the probe. This time, it wasn't cryptic binary code or haunting phrases. It was a direct invitation. A holographic projection materialized inside the secure facility, showing the glowing ring once again. Within it stood the same liquid metal figures, beckoning with graceful gestures. "Come." Their voices echoed telepathically. "Witness your destiny." The crew of Unity boarded the spacecraft amidst cheers and tears. Families gathered at launch sites waving goodbye to loved ones embarking on humanity's most daring journey yet. As engines roared to life, the ship ascended gracefully, leaving Earth's atmosphere behind. The star destroyers hovered protectively, nearby, escorting Unity toward the portal. Inside the ship, the mood was tense but hopeful. Emily gazed out the window, marveling at the sight of Earth shrinking below them. Beside her, Hiroshi tinkered with equipment, attempting to establish contact with the ambassadors. "We've come so far," he said softly, "but I still can't shake the feeling we're walking into the unknown." "That's always been part of exploration," Emily replied, forcing a smile. "Every step forward starts with uncertainty." Hours passed as Unity approached the glowing ring. Up close, it radiated warmth, its surface rippling like water. The crew exchanged nervous glances as the ship entered the portal, engulfed by blinding light. For a moment, everything went silent. When the light faded, they found themselves in a realm unlike anything imaginable. Stars stretched infinitely in every direction, yet they weren't cold and distant. They pulsed with life, shifting colors in harmony with unseen forces. Floating islands drifted lazily, covered in lush vegetation that emitted faint luminescence. At the center of it all stood a colossal structure resembling the Ring, except this one spanned entire galaxies. The alien ambassadors awaited them there, their forms now solidified into humanoid shapes, clad in flowing robes of light. One stepped forward, raising a hand in greeting. Its eyes glowed softly, locking onto each member of the crew as if assessing their souls. "Welcome, children of Earth." The being spoke, its voice resonating not just in ears, but in hearts. "You have endured trials beyond measure, yet you persevere. That is why you are here." Ambassador Li Wei stepped forward hesitantly. "Why have you brought us here? What do you want from us?" The ambassador tilted its head, as if amused by the question. "We do not seek to take, we seek to give. Your planet holds potential unmatched in the cosmos, a seedling destined to grow into greatness. But growth requires guidance." Emily leaned closer, her curiosity overpowering her fear. "What kind of guidance?" The ambassador gestured toward the floating structure behind it. "This is the Nexus, a repository of knowledge and wisdom, accumulated over eons. Through it, we offer you the tools to evolve, to transcend limitations imposed by ignorance and fear." General Reed frowned. "And what's the catch?" "Nothing comes without cost." The being nodded solemnly. "The cost is choice. To accept our gift means embracing change, not just technological but spiritual. You must unite as one species, shedding divisions that weaken you. Only then will you unlock the Nexus's full power." Silence fell over the crew as they processed the implications. Humanity had been given a chance to leap forward, but at what price? Would nations relinquish sovereignty? Would individuals sacrifice personal freedoms for collective progress? Before they could respond, the ambassador added, "Know this. The Black Shard was merely a harbinger. Greater threats loom beyond your understanding. Without unity, you will perish. With it, you may shape the future of existence itself." The gravity of the statement weighed heavily on everyone. They glanced at each other, realizing the enormity of their decision. If they accepted, they would return to Earth not as explorers, but as heralds of transformation. Lives would change forever. After a long pause, Emily spoke up. "If we agree, how do we access the Nexus?" The ambassador extended its hand, and a glowing orb materialized before them. "Carry this back to your world. Let it serve as both beacon and catalyst. When placed within the heart of your awakening sights, it will awaken dormant energies within your planet and within yourselves." Commander Volkov stepped forward cautiously, taking the orb. It hummed softly in his grasp, emanating warmth. "And after that," he asked, "then begins your true journey." The ambassador replied, "Not as mere inhabitants of Earth, but as stewards of creation." With those words, the crew was escorted back to Unity. As the ship re-entered the portal, the glowing realm faded, replaced by the familiar expanse of space. The star destroyers remained close, guiding them safely home. Upon returning to Earth, the crew delivered the orb to the largest awakening site, located near Stonehenge in England. Thousands gathered to witness the event, holding their breath as the orb was placed atop the central stone. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the ground trembled. Beams of light shot skyward, connecting, with clouds that swirled into intricate patterns. Across the globe, similar pillars of light erupted from other awakening sites, forming a luminous network visible even from orbit. The air vibrated with energy, filling people with a sense of purpose they couldn't explain. In cities and villages, strangers embraced, sharing tears of joy and relief. Conflicts paused as enemies laid down arms, realizing the futility of division. Leaders addressed their citizens, urging collaboration over competition. Humanity had taken its first step toward unity, not because it was forced, but because it chose to. Meanwhile, the alien fleet began retreating, their mission apparently complete. Before disappearing entirely, they transmitted one final message. Remember, you are not alone. Together, we shall face the storms ahead. As the last Star Destroyer vanished into the void, Earth stood transformed. The days following the activation of the Nexus marked the beginning of an unprecedented chapter in human history. Earth had been forever changed, not just by the alien intervention, but by humanity's collective decision to embrace unity and transformation. The awakening sites, now glowing beacons of energy, pulsed with life, connecting continents and cultures in ways no one could have imagined. People spoke of feeling a strange warmth in their hearts, a sense of belonging to something greater than themselves. Dr. Emily Carter found herself at the forefront of this new era. She became the de facto leader of what was being called the Awakening Initiative, a global effort to study and harness the energies unleashed by the Nexus. Her role wasn't just scientific, it was deeply personal. Every time she visited one of the awakening sites, she felt an inexplicable connection to the cosmos, as if the universe itself were whispering secrets directly into her soul. The orb left by the alien ambassadors remained at Stonehenge, its glow steady and unwavering. Scientists from around the world gathered there, setting up research stations to monitor its effects. Data streamed in continuously, revealing patterns that defied conventional physics. Plants grew faster and stronger near the orb, producing crops resistant to disease and drought. Animals exhibited heightened intelligence, solving puzzles and forming bonds with humans in remarkable ways. Even the air seemed cleaner, charged with an energy that invigorated everyone who breathed it. But perhaps the most profound change was within humanity itself. People reported vivid dreams filled with symbols and visions of distant worlds. Artists created works unlike anything seen before, inspired by imagery they couldn't explain. Musicians composed symphonies that resonated with emotions buried deep within listeners' souls. It was as though the Nexus had unlocked hidden potential in every individual, urging them to explore their creativity and purpose. Commander Alexei Volkov returned to space aboard the ISS, tasked with observing Earth from orbit. What he saw astonished him. From above, the planet looked different, greener, brighter, alive in a way it never had been before. The network of light connecting the awakening sites formed a web of energy that spanned oceans and mountains, pulsating, rhythmically, like a heartbeat. He radioed mission control, describing the site in awestruck tones. "This isn't just Earth anymore," he said. "It's evolving." Back on the ground, Hiroshi Takahashi continued his work, attempting to communicate further with the aliens. Though the fleet had departed, he believed their presence lingered somehow. Using equipment enhanced by Nexus technology, he transmitted signals into deep space, hoping for a response. One night, as he adjusted frequencies, he received something extraordinary. A faint voice speaking not in binary or telepathic bursts but in clear melodic tones. "You are learning," the voice said. "Continue." Hiroshi recorded the message and shared it with Emily and the team. They listened intently, marveling at the implications. The aliens hadn't abandoned humanity. They were watching, guiding silently from afar. This realization fueled determination, among researchers and citizens alike. If Earth was part of something larger, then every action mattered. General Marcus Reed struggled to adapt to the shifting paradigm. A lifetime spent preparing for conflict made peace feel foreign, almost unsettling. Yet even he couldn't deny the changes unfolding around him. Soldiers under his command volunteered for humanitarian missions instead of combat training. Weapons factories repurposed machinery to build tools for sustainable living. The military, once a symbol of division, transformed into a force for unity. Ambassador. Leeway played a crucial role in fostering cooperation between nations. With the Nexus serving as a unifying force, borders began to blur, shared goals replaced rivalries, and resources were pooled to tackle global challenges. Climate change initiatives gained momentum as clean energy solutions emerged naturally from Nexus-inspired innovations. Hunger and poverty decreased dramatically as agricultural breakthroughs fed millions more efficiently than ever before. Yet not everyone embraced the transformation willingly. Small pockets of resistance remained, clinging to old ideologies and fears. Conspiracy theorists claimed the Nexus was a form of mind control, while extremists accused governments of colluding with extraterrestrial forces to suppress freedom. These voices grew louder as tensions simmered beneath the surface. In Texas, Jack Monroe witnessed firsthand how fragile the newfound harmony could be. His hometown became a hotspot for protests led by groups opposing the changes. One evening, as he stood guard over the awakening site near his canyon, a mob arrived armed with makeshift weapons and fiery rhetoric. "You're letting them take over," shouted a man at the front of the crowd. "This isn't natural." Jack stepped forward, holding up his hands in a gesture of calm. "I don't know what they want any more than you do," he replied. "But I've seen what's happening here. It's good, honest change. And if we fight it, we'll lose everything." His words struck a chord. Slowly, the mob dispersed, retreating into the night. Jack knew the battle wasn't over, but for now, peace prevailed. As weeks turned into months, humanity began to reap the rewards of its unity. Cities flourished without pollution, powered by limitless energy drawn from the Nexus. Diseases vanished, as medical advancements accelerated exponentially. Education systems evolved, focusing on nurturing individual talents rather than standardized testing. Space exploration entered a golden age, with ships built using alien designs venturing farther than ever before. One day, Emily stood atop a hill overlooking Stonehenge, gazing at the glowing orb. Beside her, Hiroshi tinkered with a handheld device, capable of translating alien transmissions. Commander Volkov joined them via hologram, beaming down from the ISS to share updates. Together, they represented humanity's past, present, and future, a testament to how far they'd come. "We've done so much already," Hiroshi said, breaking the silence. "But where does it end? Are we destined to keep growing, or will there always be limits?" Emily smiled softly. "Maybe the point isn't about limits. Maybe it's about learning to transcend them, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually too." Volkov nodded. "Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. That's what makes us strong." Far above, the stars twinkled brightly, reminding them of the vastness beyond their blue planet. Somewhere out there, the alien ambassadors watched, waiting to see how humanity would navigate its destiny. For now, Earth stood united, ready to meet whatever storms lay ahead. And so the story of humanity's awakening continued, not as conquerors or victims, but as stewards of creation, entrusted with the power to shape the future of existence itself. The Nexus had awakened not just Earth, but the boundless potential within every human heart.